Hello, welcome to Mgtow is Freedom and another episode of Mgtow at the Movies. I'm John, host of Mgtow is Freedom. Welcome. I watched a couple of scenes from a movie called How to Lose a Man in 10 Days or something like that. I made it a few scenes and nixed it, right? Very interesting. You can watch chick flicks and learn. You can learn Mgtow lessons. I actually would recommend men watch those movies because women love those movies. They love the chick flicks and they love to emulate them. You can see feminist propaganda just oozing from every pore in those movies. Learn your lessons, men. You gotta go to school, and sometimes no one likes school. School just isn't fun. But I don't want to go into a chick flick. I want to go into a man flick. Back in the 80s, a movie was made by John Carpenter called They Live. And you're thinking, well, this isn't feminism at the movies. No, it really was. There was a lot of feminism in that movie, and we're going to talk about it here. Mgtow at the movies. Feminism at the movies. They Live was not just about being a man. It was not about just feminine propaganda. That movie was about a great conspiracy around the world. But feminism, brothers, feminism was at the heart of the movie and was pervasive throughout it to the very end. It was always in the background, but it was always there. Let's talk about it. The movie stars Rowdy Roddy Piper, a 1980s big-time wrestler from the World Wrestling Federation. Actually turned out to be a great actor in this movie, a great actor, a lot of fun to watch. And his co-star was Keith David. He's that big black guy, he's bald. He was also in Men at Work as the burned-out Vietnam vet, and he was also in another John Carpenter movie, The Thing. So they had a great pairing in this movie, very entertaining, worth watching. So let's get to the meat of it. Rowdy Roddy Piper's he's in a depressed economy, a depressed United States of America. He's down in Los Angeles, and he's just trying to get onto his feet as a man. He just can't seem to get it together. There's a giant world around him, but he's just not making it. He's a construction guy. Very manly. Anyways, he happens across a group that appears to be trying to expose a secret. And they get rousted by the police, and he ends up with a box full of sunglasses. Well, he's walking around Los Angeles on the streets, and he puts the glasses on. And the movie shows this in a really interesting cinematic way. The world changes. It becomes black and white. And he takes them off in the world's color, and he puts them on, and he starts looking around. And instead of colorful advertisements, signs in windows talking about sales, things that are a bargain, he sees messages, hidden messages, subliminal messages. One of the big messages, and John Carpenter does a great job of showing what they're really telling by keeping the messages very limited in number and very specific in what they're saying. One of the messages, buy and consume. Another message that he'll read when he picks up a magazine is stay asleep. Don't question authority. And one of the big messages in the first scene when this is revealed to the character was the words marry and reproduce. We're given very few messages in life when we read between the lines and we see what it says. Marry and reproduce is one of the first lines John Carpenter puts in this movie to show us what it is they're trying to do, how they're controlling us subliminally. Needless to say, Rowdy Roddy Piper freaks the fuck out. Freaks out. and all of this, none of this was wasted on me. I watched this movie a long time ago. I still love it. It's a classic. But there are other examples where feminism and women are being used by this alternate society, this alternate way of thinking that is effectively destroying culture, destroying society. And it was marvelously done. I'm going to give you another example. As a Mgtow at the movies, I look for this sort of thing. Roddy Piper, he goes and he ends up becoming very, very emotionally distraught. He can't believe what he's seeing. His eyes are opened. And he ends up bumping into a woman, an older woman. And she gets snotty with him. Now, this is a Mgtow moment for the character. Rather than saying, excuse me, and going about his way, he looks at her face, and she's one of these alien types. There's normal people through his glasses, and then there's people that look all fucked up. They're not really people. This woman says, well, excuse me. And he says, lady, you look like your head fell in a cheese dip back in the 50s or something like that. And she was like, oh, well. Right? Rather than taking her shit, the glasses, seeing the truth, helped him step out of the mold and become a man. He was always a man, but now he sees the truth and he can become a free man. He starts to go his own way. He ends up going to a bank and shooting it up, and he starts by saying, with one of the greatest lines of all time, I've come, and he's got a shotgun. He says, I'm coming here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. So he shoots the place up. He ends up having the police show up. He escapes out the back, and he grabs a girl, pushes her in her car, jumps in the passenger seat, and just says, drive. And this woman is fantastically beautiful. She was in a few movies in the 80s. But she's got a very icy expression on her face. And her eyes are literally ice blue. I can't remember her name, and frankly, who cares? Good-looking women really are a dime a dozen. So, for regular culture to see a woman like that, you would bend over backwards. You'd get the door for her. You'd throw yourself in the mud. This is the regular rules, right? The white knight rules. And Roddy Piper's just woken up. He's seen the signs. He's seen what's going on, but he thinks she's beautiful. Now he tries talking to her like a man, goes back to her place. He wants some rest. He's got to try and understand what is going on in this world around him. This dystopian craziness where there's a real world and a fake world, and there's two things going on. Well, I can tell you what's going on is there's the world we're presented with, and then there's the world that the agenda is creating and controlling and how they benefit from it. And feminism makes its play in the marry and reproduce. That controls men. They want them to stay asleep and consume. The woman who gets snotty with him. And another one is standing there, and they speak through their watches, on their little wristwatches. She says, we have one that can see. Right? And it's a woman saying that. They don't like the fact that as Mgtow, we can see them. And he hears the one, and he tells her head fell in a cheese dip. Oh, wait, that was one in the store. It doesn't matter. It's all the same. He looks at another one who's in the mirror, and she's trying to look all pretty, and he says, lady, that's like putting perfume on a pig. And it really is. They think they're pretty, but when you can see them for what they really are, they are incredibly vile and ugly creatures. So let's catch back up in the story. Roddy Piper is in this woman's house. He is only trying to get some rest. And then he reaches out and tries to teach her. He says, put on these glasses, you're going to see the truth. Basically saying, open your eyes, woman, to see the truth. What does she do? She waits for the exact second he's not looking and brains him across the head with a bottle of wine, knocks him through the window and down a cliff. That's what happens to men when you turn your back on a woman, when you've seen the truth, and they know you've seen the truth. They will fuck you up. So the movie continues on a bit more. There's examples throughout the movie of destroyed families. There's scenes in the movie where the mom is missing. And it's all very subtle. But if you know what to look for, and you know the creative brilliance of John Carpenter, how he can say so much with so little. He says so much with so little. There's a man and a girl, his daughter, and there's no mom. What's that saying? He's making a statement. So Rowdy Roddy Piper and Keith David, they end up having a massive fight. I consider it the best movie fight ever. But if you do any of the top 3 or top 5 movie fights, it's always in the top 5, usually in the top 3. And I think it should be number 1. It is a great prolonged movie fight between Rowdy Roddy Piper and Keith David. And what he's trying to do is get Keith to open his eyes. This is his brother, right? This is his friend. This is a guy that cares. He's passionate. He's manly. They're both fucking macho. And they get into this fight. And it goes long beyond being perfunctory as a fight. And it really shows the struggle between men to help them see, and the willingness that they have to give to each other. And that they have anger, and they have strength and power, and they have resolve. Needless to say, even though they're both powerful characters, Rowdy Roddy Piper wins. He had top billing in the movie. He's got to win the fight. He gets fucked up in it, though. But Keith David puts the glasses on. Then he sees this dystopian empire and its control. And something about his character also that has to do with Mgtow is he's got a wife and a family somewhere else in the country. But he's out in LA trying to make money to support them. It's showing the disconnect between how hard he works and how disconnected his family is from him. Doesn't understand him. You know, but he talks about in the movie about how he's got to keep his job and he doesn't want to get involved in anything. He's going to keep his head down and he's just going to make money because he's married and reproduced. And he has to participate in the system. Needless to say, he gets woken up and the movie continues. So the characters move through and they meet a resistance force. They meet a resistance force and then they end up in a movie studio, which is where this signal is sent out. It's beamed up to a satellite or whatever, and that's how the signal is broadcast to confuse everybody, right? So they don't see the real world. They don't see this crazy, bizarre place with alien beings and them being brainwashed to marry and reproduce and to buy and consume and stay asleep. The control and surveillance super state that's really around them. It's a fabulous movie. But they end up in this movie studio, and Rowdy Roddy Piper and Keith David, they realize they've got to get to the roof, kill the signal, and wake the world up. That's their mission. As they're running through the building, going through different levels, they run back into this woman again, who they ran into just, a couple of scenes before, and the same icy woman comes up to Rowdy Roddy Piper and says, "I didn't know, I'm so sorry." You know, and she was holding a pair of the glasses. "I just didn't know, I'm so sorry I did that too." And he's like, "It's okay, baby." You know, and it's the usual bullshit. The man forgives the woman for fucking braining him upside the head and trying to kill him. Now she's a fucking Nawalt. Not all women are like that. Now she's not like that. She's not like everybody else that's confused by this massive brainwashing scheme. She pretends, ultimately, to be awake she pretends to be not like all other women. So they get split up, then go to the movie studio. As they're climbing through the levels, the woman makes an appearance again. As Keith David and Rowdy Roddy Piper are heading to the roof. Well, as Roddy goes up higher, she turns around to Keith David, puts a gun to his head, and shoots him. Representative of the woman in the man's friendship and in his life, getting rid of his allies, who are his friends, his brothers, his keepers around him, to remove any protection they may have. Very represented. Again, John Carpenter does a great job of exposing how feminism works in relationships and in a man's goals. So they end up on the roof. And Rowdy Roddy Piper's got his glasses on, right, or his ability to see. And he looks at the satellite dish, and it's some kind of weird 50s alien-looking thing. It's really cool. Nice retro look. It's a great movie. And he says out loud, "Are you clear?" You know, asking for his compatriots behind him. And the woman answers, "Yeah, I'm clear." And he realizes the gig is up. And he turns around, and she's pointing a gun at him. And they go through a little bit of dialogue. He ends up pulling a move and shooting her. Right? Because she is working on the wrong team. Once again, this is a great demonstration of how this world works. Of course, John Carpenter does it with artistic license within the story, but it is a Mgtow lesson. This woman had a chance to learn. She had a chance to come along. She saw the truth and pretended, and then decided to go the other way. That is, take the benefits offered by the system. The same way women today out there will say, "I'm not like that." They marry a man, and then they take the benefits the system offers them when they're presented, i.e. divorce, half the man shit, child support, spousal support, court orders, ruining the man's life socially, professionally, and then tying him up in court and making him pay her legal bills. So Rowdy Roddy Piper does the Hollywood divorce, and he shoots the bitch. Very symbolic. I don't think men should go around shooting women, by the way. I'm saying this is what happened in the movie. It was powerful. Then he turns around and he shoots the dish. He shoots the dish, the satellite thing gets killed, the cops in the helicopter shoot him, he dies, knowing he did a great job. He dies a man's death. And I know that's not understood by most. Most women, that is, and most people in this society. They don't understand the Viking death. They don't understand the warrior's death, the man's death. To live a life, to conquer, to complete a goal, the importance of it, how we're willing to put our lives on our line. On the line. And as men, if we accomplish our goal, we're willing to do so much, and we're so capable and powerful. But there's that woman right behind you pointing a gun in your back, or standing there with a bottle ready to brain you, always willing to lie and take advantage of the system. It was so emblematic of the problem that Mgtow and men everywhere face. So it's really great. The signal stops, and now everyone on the street, everyone in business and life, can see these alien types, these bad guys. These bad guys run the agenda. And there's one of the last lines, if not the last line, is a nice-looking blonde woman riding a guy, fucking him on top. And she's grinding away, and she looks down, and she stops in horror because she sees this guy with this alien face, and he goes, "Hey, what's wrong, baby?" You know, everyone wakes up and goes, "Oh fuck, what are we doing?" And by then it's too late. Now you've got shit hits the fan on the planet. But Mgtow at the movies. Mgtow at the movies. The movie They Live by John Carpenter. It's about a freakish dystopian world. A crazy place. A world with ons and offs. It was the Matrix before the Matrix. It was called a B movie, but it really wasn't. And Roddy Piper actually said it wasn't a movie, it was a documentary about the way the world works. What they're showing in this movie, what they were showing, is not just feminism, but an overall agenda to control the world and to profit by it, by a few powerful elite who weren't really human. But what they did is they had an agenda and a program and a system by which to control everybody. And the movie made it clear, to me anyways, that feminism and the controlling of men through and with the aid of women was a huge part of that program. The indoctrination men receive and how they are told that they need to respect women, that women are safe and good allies in a man's mission in life. You know, that you can help them. Not really. Not really. And that when given an opportunity, a woman will take the money and run. She'll look out for herself. Because they are not honorable the way men are honorable. Now, I'm not saying that all men are honorable and all men are perfect. I make no illusions about that, guys. There's a lot of fuckheads out there. Assholes, cocksuckers. I call them all kinds of names, and there's plenty of them. Men that are just as bad, just as dangerous, just as evil, just as shitty, just as backstabbing as feminists. But at the very least, I can deal with them on a man-to-man basis. And I fucking squared off and manned up with cops, with fuckheads, with gangs, everything. But with women, you're not allowed to do that because there's a second set of rules, and that makes them an exceptionally dangerous and vile enemy in this world. And it's not just an agenda about controlling our individual pocketbooks and our individual behavior. It is my opinion, guys, that as Mgtow, we're fighting a battle against an entire system and an entire agenda that is designed to control us, control the world, and bring it under subjugation. So we wake up and we see the problem that we individually face, the same way Roddy Piper did. It was like, fuck, what is going on? I have an individual problem I'm dealing with. These individuals. And very, very quickly he sees a bigger picture. There's a bigger picture out there. It is a much more dangerous picture, and that feminism was just a smaller part of it. But it's a great movie. Mgtow at the movies. I recommend watching that movie if you haven't seen it. And if you have seen it, go back and watch it with Mgtow in mind, with men going their own way. Because that's what Roddy Piper does. He goes his own way. When he sees the truth, he starts to live the truth. And again, the movie's an extreme example of that, and I wouldn't recommend anyone shooting up a bank, killing cops, or doing any of the crazy shit in the movie, but it's representative. When he faced the cops and dealt with them, he was dealing with unlawful authority. When he shot up the bank, he was dealing with the corrupt money system, the control system through money. When he dealt with the woman, he was dealing with feminism, the corruption and filth, the lies, the hypocrisy, the backstabbing nature of feminism and feminist women. When he got to the politicians, he ended up learning from them, but he didn't take them out because he knew he had to destroy the mechanism by which everyone was being controlled, and that was media and mass manipulation. It is a marvelous movie to see how a Mgtow character conquers and wins. And that's how we all need to look at our lives. We have an opportunity to learn, to see, and to start taking action. On the individual level, learn about all you can and take action as a man. Be prepared to take action. Life as we know it in our world is not about Hollywood cinematic, dramatic expressions of what we really want to see. Life is about going through the motions day by day. But we can make a difference as individuals and change our own worlds a little piece at a time. And that's the battlefield we really are on. So this is John, host of Mgtow is Freedom. And Rowdy Roddy Piper would have said it. I know he would have if the line was in front of him. If some woman put him down and said, hey bitch, I've got the penis. Mgtow is freedom. Know your strengths. And always, man, get up in the morning, look in the mirror and say, I have the penis. And you make your own way. Go your own way, men. Semper Fi.